A candidate for the Madhya Pradesh sub-inspector exam spends years running tracks at dawn and memorizing criminal statutes late into the night. But as they approach the heavy wooden door of the recruitment office, the physical exhaustion of that preparation is replaced by a sharp, rising panic. Inside, nobody is going to ask them to recite the penal code. The written exams already prove they have the raw data. The objective now is to test their psychological threshold. The board needs to know what happens when the candidate is pushed to the exact point where their composure threatens to shatter. The room behind that door operates as a psychological crucible, engineered specifically to strip away comfortable facades. The aesthetic of a traditional Madhya Pradesh government workspace, with its mountains of yellow document bundles and heavy, dusty air, carries a specific bureaucratic weight. When a solitary chair is placed opposite 5 senior officers entrenched behind a massive wooden table, the spatial arrangement creates an immediate, severe power imbalance. The board projects an intimidating visual authority. An SP rank officer sits dead center, maintaining a sharp, uncompromising posture that demands deference. The candidate steps into a vacuum of comfort. Every familiar psychological safety net they brought with them is instantly dismantled. In the dead air of the room, mundane details grow painfully loud. The rhythmic ticking of a clock, the slow rotation of a fan, amplifies a deep sense of isolation. The sensory environment itself is the foundation of an architectural stress test. The moment the candidate takes their seat, they are met with a weaponized, absolute silence. The board doesn't immediately ask questions because specific members are assigned to ignore the candidate's words entirely. Their sole task is to decode physical microexpressions. They hunt for involuntary physical tells, like a shallow breath, a rigid jaw, or trembling hands, that contradict the confident exterior they try to project. The officers sit calmly, pens tapping rhythmically against notepads, while the candidate's internal heart rate spikes. During these initial minutes, the total absence of spoken interrogation serves as the board's most aggressive tactic. The silence finally breaks with a deceptively simple question. What is the biggest responsibility of a police officer? Before the candidate can fully articulate a textbook answer, a second officer aggressively pivots, demanding to know exactly how they will respond when direct political pressure demands they bend the law. This chart shows the ethical trap. It plots moral duty vertically against political survival horizontally, with the candidate trapped as a single central data point. The board watches the candidate attempt to plot a verbal path out, maintaining integrity without committing career suicide. In the fraction of a second before speaking, the applicant has to swallow the rising panic threatening their throat. The actual words they choose in response carry far less weight than the steady, unwavering tone of voice required to deliver them. Surviving the trap means flawless execution of practiced composure, actively masking profound terror. As the candidate finishes their answer, a subtle release of tension flows through the room. The officers finish their notes and make their final assessments. The deliberate intensity of this theatrical stress test might seem excessive for a job interview until you look at the reality of the position. The extreme public scrutiny an officer faces during the crisis requires absolute discipline. When an angry crowd presses against a police line, the pressure is physical, loud, and dangerous. The hypothetical political dilemmas presented by the board are the exact forms of interference these officers will encounter daily on the streets of Madhya Pradesh. In those moments, an officer experiences the isolation of command. They have to make terrifying, high-stakes decisions entirely alone, with no superior to hide behind. The interview board is running an accurate simulation of an officer's absolute hardest day on the job. Civilians often assume that a successful police candidate must be completely devoid of fear. True professional courage is the ability to feel absolutely terrified, yet still plant your feet and execute the mission. As the candidate stands up from the chair, the nervous energy is gone, replaced by a quiet, earned resilience. They entered the room with trembling hands, but they navigated the calculated architecture of pressure without breaking. The MPSI board forces candidates to confront their own limits, revealing the foundational character required to protect the public.